Call the meeting to order. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anyone else on Zoom? If so, would you please identify yourself?
I'm here, guys.
That you, Bob?
It's me.
Okay. So we got some more people coming in. Nedra.
iPhone 2 wouldn't identify themselves?
No.
I'd give them one more shot.
Yeah.
And if they won't identify themselves, then they won't.
Yeah, they drop back off.
Okay.
Okay. Ready to go? Okay, the first item is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
A second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Next item is minutes. Approval of the minutes of July 10th, 2023.
Make a motion there to approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Second?
And a second. Corrections, additions? Joe?
I have, this is not a correction so much as a suggestion on page 2, under recreation update, the, I think the fourth sentence, which starts, "They have talked with M. Jones about this," should be a separate, a new paragraph, because it's really a discontinuation of the AGov discussion. And for those people who may not have been at the meeting, I think a little bit of clarification where Bo said they are stepping back from this. It wouldn't be at all clear to the average person reading this what this refers to. And I would insert in brackets their rec director duties, close brackets.
Okay.
And otherwise, I have no suggestions. Oh, excuse me. On the last page, under brief recap and items for follow-up, the second line includes J. Mark spent a significant amount on this technology. I did not know that. And honestly, I think that's a mistake. I think it should say J. Mark said the town spent a significant amount on this technology. And then later it says, and there are persistent periodic issues, would like to see installers to check. It's a little ambiguous. I would insert after there are, I'm sorry, before there are. So, J. Mark said the town spent a significant amount on this technology, and insert, comma, given that there are persistent and periodic issues, comma, he would like to see installers return to address those.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it, Joe? Dick?
I'm good.
You're good? Allison, did you get those changes?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes with corrections indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
They're
I'm
approved.
gonna abstain, Jim. I wasn't there.
What was that, Bob?
That Bob abstained. He wasn't present at the last meeting.
Oh, he wasn't present, yeah.
So he abstained.
Okay, Bob, we got it. Thank you. Citizens' comments or concerns, issues not on the agenda. Yes, sir. The gentleman behind the podium. Is that you, Mike?
Yes, it's me. I just would like to address this board and ask you what your thought process is on employees. Because I done you guys a good job. I made your request. person that you hired got paid $2 more than the base rate.
This is a
So
person,
I made a request.
Okay.
To get $2 more.
Mhm.
And it went 2 weeks and I heard nothing.
this is, okay. This is a personnel issue. Personnel issues are usually handled in executive session because it is a personnel issue. If you wish, unless the board objects, we'd be glad to handle this for you in executive session at the end of the meeting, just like any other executive session.
Hey, thank you guys for your time. Have a wonderful evening.
Mr. Chairman, I think that an individual could request to have a matter addressed in open session.
If he wanted that, but he went out the door, I'd be happy to.
Well, you told him he had to do it in executive.
No, I said it is usually handled in
Please do.
executive session.
Could I speak?
We'll wait. We'll wait till Mike comes back, no problem.
I think that was a misunderstanding on Mike's part. Or Jim's.
You got another Zoom. Zach Hill just came in Zoom.
Would you like to handle it in in open meeting, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Because
It's up to you, go ahead.
it's a done deal anyway, so. I don't understand the thought process of it. You got a guy that does good work, I'm not bragging, I do good work, you guys all know that. I show up for work, I go out in the middle of the night and plow snow. If I didn't think it was a ridiculous request to ask for that $2. When you hired a guy that doesn't have nowhere near the experience, for $2 more an hour above the base rate, I can't wrap my head around that. I don't understand that.
That it?
So,
You are a union employee, right?
Correct?
You're a member of the union?
Yeah.
Okay. Joe?
Well, I was just going to ask the town manager if the union contract allows him to hire people above the base rate.
It does.
Does it allow you to change a person's salary between contracts?
Yes.
It,
You can get us.
yeah, there's language in there that talks about special awards and you know, or you
Merit
get merit bonuses, yes.
Correct, but not an adjustment in the hourly rate.
No. Without going into bargaining.
And the whole problem with that is, I'm sorry, I'm going to speak on the spot, but the whole problem with that is, the last time, you guys know it, it took us 3 years to get a contract. It might go right through this time, it might be the same deal. I don't, and I might get my money, and I might not, so. I can't understand, if that's the case, if it's a union deal, then fine. I've given my notice, you guys all know that, so I guess we're gonna have to leave it at that.
Joe?
Mike, you'd have no reason to know this, but I worked at the college for 32 years where I worked with 5 different unions and 5 different collective bargaining agreements. When I came in 1980, the first ones were fairly new. And what people were telling me was that the faculty, who were the first union, felt they needed to have a union because management was being arbitrary when they set wages. And people who had more experience were getting paid less, and men were getting paid more. And all of that turned out to be true when there was an investigation. So most of the time, unions are trying to erase arbitrariness or personal preferences on the part of managers. Comes with that constraints, and except for the bonus, which is definitely an option under the I have it here, the collective bargaining agreement, I don't see that there's a possibility of just adjusting a single employee's wage rates. And sometimes it's kind of a whack-a-mole situation. If you did have the authority to adjust wages of one individual's, it might create new inequities relative to other people who don't get the adjustment. But everything that I've heard about you is that you are a very, very dedicated, capable employee.
Always have been. And when I read that merit thing, I said, well, maybe they could slide you on that. But if it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. Simple as that.
Any other questions?
Jim,
Mike?
I got one question.
Okay, Bob?
Can you guys hear me? I want to ask Mike Smith, not looking for a name, but this other employee that was hired at $2 more an hour, is this person in the union or not in the union?
He's a union member. He's
a union-
He's 88 cents under what I'm getting paid, and I've been here almost 11 years. And they start him out 88 cents under what I'm making now.
Well, are we
That all goes back?
talking about two different things? One is the rate at which a person is hired. I believe the town manager has the discretion, based on qualifications and experience, to hire a person. But once the person is in the union, then the union contract carries, which does not, I don't believe, gives us the right to violate the contract. So we're talking about two different things.
Well, I can't say whether he's joining the union because he's a new hire. He came, worked a few days, and then he goes. So he had to go.
Okay.
Called active duty, so.
Mike?
I'd like to clarify, just so, for Mike, for you as well, is when we advertise the job, we've got lots of people that have applied for jobs, and we've had a lot of people walk away from us because our wages are not competitive. And I think you probably understood that from the last collective bargaining unit agreement as well. So in this particular case, I hired him part-time, starting, and that it was, the wage was $20.50. And then he agreed to start full-time so that he'd become a union member, and he's through his probation, he has to get through his probationary period as well. So that's why it was a higher rate than was in, because just for transparency, the union agreement, it's $17.51 for a starting wage for that position. There is no way, I have not been able to hire anybody, so that's why the higher rate. But I also knew that you guys were coming into collective bargaining. And we asked your union rep if we could start early because of your situation, and which he's agreed to do. So that's where the money came from. It wasn't, I know it's sat sore with you, but I also I had to fill a position because you guys would have been short one other person to be able to fill those jobs. So I could pretend that we were going to find someone that was going to come along and take $17.51 an hour, and it's $20 an hour is like, if you don't at least offer that, you're really getting nothing. So that's the dilemma I was put into. I did approach the board about your request, and the answer, and that's when they asked if we could start bargaining early. So I reached out to your union rep, and they said yes. So
Like I said, the last time it was 3 years, so that's.
yeah, and
Well, okay. It's all good. Thanks for your time, guys. I appreciate that. At least it's off my mind. So.
And I did write to the board, and I think it echoes from everybody, is no one can diminish what you did for the town, Mike. And I understand where you're sitting right now, but we can't diminish or take away from what you did for the town, and say thank you and good luck on any future endeavors that you have. But
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Can I speak?
Mike,
Mike, sit down, please. Stay here, please.
Identify yourself, please,
I'm
sure.
Randy Hutchins. I've been a taxpayer in this town for 24 years. I've known Michael probably for about 45. I've worked with him on and off for years. I know what he is and how he runs equipment. He actually works for me time and time again when I get in a bind and I need a good excavator operator. I'm a logger, I have oodles of equipment, and Mike's the kind of guy that can jump seats from anything and make it work and do the job. And he doesn't shortchange nothing, he does the job right. Now, I'm gonna ask you a question. If you were put in Mike's position, you guys right here, you've worked for this town for almost 11 years, and you do really, really good work, you're not a drug addict, you're not a drunk, you come to work, and you work. Mike gets dirty. Mike knows what he's doing. Mike can be left alone, he doesn't need a babysitter. The man you hired, that's supposedly got all these qualifications, he's got a CDL license, he's a National Guard guy, he's not here now because he's on call, because 2 weeks ago this state suffered some really shitty stuff, okay? Now, picture Castleton got off real easy because Castleton's got good ditches and maybe it didn't rain as much here and stuff. The reason Castleton's got good dishes is because of Mike Smith. Mike Smith can brush your teeth with that excavator. And you're not gonna hire anybody. There's one guy in this town who's 80 years old that can run an excavator like Mike Smith. Yes, Heath Guyette can sit in an excavator and dig a hole. So can I. I own one. I use it in the woods where I don't have to do meticulous stuff. But when I do need meticulous stuff done, Mike Smith does it. And he can jump from my skidder, my log truck, and you people aren't realizing this either. If we have some serious wind damage, Mike can come get my truck, go clean up stuff. He doesn't even have to ask, he knows it, okay? You cannot replace Mike Smith for $22 an hour. And you don't realize this. Mike Smith is not a guy that comes to work with his dinner bucket and he don't care, all he's there for is a check. Mike Smith's proud of the work that he does. And he does good work. And he knows when to shut something off when it's gonna screw up really bad and cost this town a lot of money. And he does it right. And you people hire somebody and give them $20 an hour. I realize that. They gotta pay rent, they gotta eat. I totally understand where you're coming from. But when you hire somebody that can't put a cartridge of grease in a grease gun, and you slap a man in the face by paying that guy 88 cents less than a guy that's worked for you for 11 years, what would you do if the situation was reversed and it was you? How would you act? You'd act just like Mike. Now, you're not going to hire somebody that can do everything Mike can do for $20 an hour. You're not going to hire somebody for $30 an hour because they already got a job because they're that good. I think you're making a huge mistake. There's got to be a way. Maybe it ain't. I'm a logger. If I could read or write, I'd tell everybody I wouldn't work in the woods. So I'm not going to say this right, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. And if I do, I apologize. There's got to be some way that you either cut his hours back or something and give him that $2, but it don't show up on paper. Give him a week's paid vacation. You took it away from him earlier. There's got to be some way you can keep him because you're not going to replace him.
Okay,
That's my thoughts.
thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Can I leave now?
If that's up to you, sir.
Thank you guys for your time.
Please do
Appreciate
something to keep it.
Okay,
This town needs it.
Thank you.
anyone else who wishes to address the board on another item not on the agenda? Mike Finnegan,
Applesauce Hill?
not Route 4A?
Not yet.
No.
Yes, it's been brought to my attention that ARPA money that the town has to spend, it's been brought to my attention that there's been some movement on the board to potentially spend this money in large part or entirely on water and sewer infrastructure repair.
Not water. We don't deal with water, Mike,
Okay.
just the
Bring
lake.
on sewer repair. And I just want the board to know that I think that that's really not an appropriate use for funds in large part. I know the governor, I looked this up today, the governor had talked about, using the ARPA funds for economic development and water, sewer, and broadband, internet access and things like that. And I think spending the money in its entirety on sewer only benefits a proportion of the town, it doesn't benefit everybody. And I know there's some things that are already looking to be spent on, stuff for the fire department and things, and I think that's a fine idea, of course, no bias there. But I think the town should look at spending this money on things that benefit everyone, not just a certain few that are on the sewer system, because I'm responsible for my own sewer infrastructure. I don't think it's fair that this money should be spent to benefit some and not benefit others. I'm sure there's something you can find to buy for the town, grader, dump truck, what have you, that would better serve everyone than just a certain few. That's all.
Thanks, Mike.
Tim, can that person identify themselves? I didn't hear,
Mike
I
Finnegan,
know who it is.
Mike
For
Finnegan,
the recording,
Applesauce
Okay.
Hill.
Is that Bob's?
all I heard was Applesauce Hill and Mike, is all I heard.
Mike Finnegan,
Could I ask him a question,
sure.
Mr. Spalding? Is my wife
You have
behaving?
to come up here, that won't record, Mike.
I can't repeat that over the phone, Mike.
Is my wife behaving down in DC?
I can't repeat that over the phone.
Oh, was he down in DC with the class trip or something?
Anyone else wishes to address the board, item not on the agenda? Yes, sir.
My name is Ramones, I live down on Pine Street, northern end of town. Myself and a lot of the residents in that area have grown very concerned about the noise levels coming from remote streamies and the Bombazine dog. The loud music, extremely loud music, where it's shaking our houses. And Chief can attest to, and I apologize to Chief, I always met because I keep calling him for weeks. We're gonna try to get something agreed to, and we can't do it. They're not budging, they're keeping their stereos blasting to the point where our TVs are at level 50. We are 5 feet from them and we cannot hear them. And we need the noise ordinance revamped to eliminate all loud, unnecessary music 24 hours a day. My house is situated right behind both businesses. From their business to my living room is probably about 75 feet. I got a wall, windows, everything, doors. I don't have any of them open. The music is coming through and they might as well be sitting right next to me blasting music. The rest of the neighborhood is getting very irritated as well. I went through and I've got signatures here, and this is what I just get tonight. I can get you a bunch more. We want these guys to be held accountable for loud music. They can have music for their guests. That's not the issue. Everyone can listen to music. Listen to it reasonably. You have 20 people there, you don't need music blasting across the street or shaking out windows. You can have 20 people listen to music at a decent level. An example, when the dog opened, not this past week, but the weekend before, Friday night music was very loud. I went over, asked them to turn it down, they wouldn't do it. I called Chief Smith. Nothing to be done because of the ordinance, which it says from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. is the only time they have to shut up. So from 7 in the morning till 11 at night, they blast music as loud as they want to disturb the whole neighborhood. And that's not right. Secondly, last Saturday night, they had somebody over there playing an acoustic guitar with a little amp. I could hear it, but it wasn't annoying. I turned my volume up 2 notches, I couldn't hear it anymore. That's respectful, that's doable. I had no problem with that, nobody else had a problem with that. This past Friday night, they were very loud again, and Saturday night was unbelievable. Saturday night is the start of a battle between our neighborhood and them. And this needs to be addressed, because it's gonna get very nasty, very quickly.
Thank you. Mike, or Chief, do you care to make a brief statement on this?
Absolutely.
Before Chief goes,
Wait a minute.
Mr. Chairman, can we get, I want to catch your name because we got
Hal, H-A-L, Monez, M-O-N-E-Z.
M-O-N-E-Z.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You don't really hear me, I like to stay home and keep my nose clean and keep my family home when we watch TV. Don't get into too much. But this is getting crazy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Al. So one of the issues is, obviously, I don't know if you've been over there, I mean, the properties are, you got Pine Street, this is, like you said, 25 yards, really to the border. So, liquor control has a meeting with Andrew because they put in one in their licensing that they can only have music till 9:30. Now, here's the issue. What you and I think is reasonable may not be what other people think. If you've got speakers and music there, the only way you're gonna discern how loud and what's not is through the decibels. I know we went through this before, so I downloaded a couple of free decibel meters on the duty phone and my phone. So I tasked the guys, and in order to do, 70 is the national average, what ordinances are based on. A lawnmower is over that. Chainsaws are over that. There's a lot of equipment that's over that. But 70 for the music is what most of the nation follows in their ordinances. Now, I can only tell you because I went through it in Woodstock when I was a sergeant over there, because they had the same issues. 70. We're not looking to cut a business. We also got to respect the residents. There's only limited what we can do, what is reasonable, what's not reasonable, unless I have some kind of numeric value to it. It doesn't make sense, okay? It is very short distance, and it's outside. If everything's faced that way, that's where it's going. So I would support whether we come up with some type of thing like that, maybe control a little better. I'm gonna be part of that meeting, hopefully on Friday. No, actually, I won't be on Friday, I'll be before then. So, and trying to get some happy medium. Because actually, one of the incident that happened Saturday, the DJ jumped their fence and went after one of the neighbors.
Yeah, assaulted him.
So he's gonna end up getting arrested and charged, which is what got DLC involved. Okay. So, that's something I think has gotta get resolved, because it's not gonna get any better.
Oh, I was thinking much worse.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Can I ask the
Just a
chief-
second.
I
Joe?
defer to Dick.
Dick, go
Can I
ahead.
ask the chief 2 questions before he goes away? First question, has the Bombazine Dog violated their license and having music past 9:30 PM? To your knowledge?
No, I don't think they've gone past 9:30. I think they got shut down that night, if I remember, Hal, right? They were shut down about 9:30, because Justin was on, I ended up talking to him, so. But they're meeting with Andrew on Friday to talk about that. They are talking about some, I can't talk for them, but they are talking about some kind of action.
So at this
I
point,
don't know what.
follow up on that, so at this point, whether they intended to or not, they did not violate their license?
I didn't say that.
Understood. Okay, second thing, the national norm for a sound pressure level limit for things like that is 70 dB,
Correct.
which is actually still fairly loud, by the way.
But that's the average they come out.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's
But it's-
based on their ordinances on.
But it sounds like this music might be louder than a chainsaw.
I don't know. I haven't been over there and recorded it, so that's
Well-
why I downloaded. What I want to do is gather the information and see what the sounds are. In order to do it, you have to stand, you can't stand obviously next to them, you have to stand on where their property ends, so it'll be like on Pine Street, right where that property is, and then you face it and you see what the readings are, which is what we did in Woodstock. So if they got over 70 for more than 10 seconds, you'd go over there and you'd say, look, take it down. You'd give them a warning, and then you just do that until you find them.
And at this point, our ordinance does not have
Correct.
a limit on sound pressure level?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Now, I just want to mention that particular, because they're so close, they're right there. I mean, it's even more close than some of the houses that we deal with after 11 o'clock.
Okay,
So that's all.
let's gather some more data, and I've got to do some learning, so I will do that.
Joe?
Gentlemen, if I may,
Just a sec,
I'm sorry.
yep. Oh, Joe, did you have something?
One of the questions that Dick asked was a question that I would have asked the chief.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Again, I'm
All right.
sorry, I've got a little frustrated from the whole thing, is I've been going through this for weeks, over there between Robos and now the dog. It's not just about decibels. The distance thing, my house is closest to both of those. And when they're playing music loudly, it's, like I said, it's shakes my floors, shakes my windows, overpowering my entire family. It's 3 hours straight of somebody doing that to you for 3 hours. And at no point is that okay at all. If I came to your houses with my cars for 3 hours, wake you up at 7 in the morning, or last until 11 o'clock at night, you guys will not be happy, right? I shouldn't have to suffer the same thing,
Okay,
you know?
thank you.
But thank you.
Anyone else wishes to address the board items not on the agenda? If not, we'll move on. Something very controversial. Unlicensed dog report and warrant. I believe we have information from Nedra. Nedra, is there anything you want to say on this? Woof.
Apparently not.
I guess not. You'll notice this notice has been sent to the animal control officer. He indicated that he would be calling on the unlicensed dogs. I imagine he's gonna call on the owners, not the unlicensed dogs. But, okay. And we'll see where it goes from there. Joe?
I have a question for Nedra. As I looked down this list, and I did go through the first list, I found a number of individuals who I think no longer live in Castleton. And has this list, Nedra, been cross-checked against the tax rolls, or I guess that would be the best list to compare it with?
You're up, Nedra.
You there, Nedra?
She's unmuted now. There might be something wrong with her mic.
If not, we could bring that up to Nedra tomorrow.
Sure.
Joe?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that a few of these people
sure.
don't live in town
Certainly,
anymore.
okay.
Haven't for a few years.
Okay, if not, we'll,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, Mike?
since the chief's here, that one of the questions, I think we've chased unlicensed dogs around for at least 5.5 years that I'm aware of. And the constable didn't want to do it. Now we got the animal control officer involved. But is there any repercussions to this? You know, for you criminally, it's not. So
fine.
yeah. So it means our animal control officer is going to have to warm up his complaint book, because it's the same people year after year after year, and there seems to be no accountability or no way to hold them accountable if we're not going to put something in writing. So I was hoping that, Chief's here, that he can guide and mentor our animal control officer through that process.
Okay, thank you.
Can I offer a comment?
Or Dick?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I would agree with the town manager that we should get the animal control officer involved, and if the chief can help that person do that so that there is a penalty for not registering your dog, a civil penalty. Because the one thing I don't want to do is penalize the dog. It's not the dog's fault, it's the owner's fault. So the owner needs to be penalized, and certainly we don't want to be making, putting dogs down or anything for that reason. So, like I said, it's not the dog's fault.
Chief?
Yeah, I just want to qualify that the penalties for these things, which Chris knows, because he's done it for dogs at large. The first offense is a $150 fine, second is $300, third is $450, the last one is $500. Anything after that offense, it stays at $500.
Okay.
But can you have more than one offense in a year? Let's say that he gives them
Doesn't
a
make a difference.
citation.
All it goes is by offense. So
Can I finish my question?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If he issues a citation, say in August, for an unlicensed dog, and the owner still doesn't license their dog, can he issue another citation in, say, October for a second offense?
Yeah, I'm saying yes, I just have to look at the year.
I would love to give our animal control officer some teeth, that's all, if you know what I'm saying.
I think April 1st they have to have
Yeah,
an action.
April 1st of each year, so I don't know if they can do it more than once a year.
Let's find that out, because there needs to be teeth to this. If we're gonna have our animal control officer actually go out and work on this, then the owners of those dogs need to know that they need to, and it's simple as just going and buying a dog license, which is a lot less than a fine.
Joe?
Doesn't it seem obvious that if they have this sliding scale, that they expect you'll issue multiple citations?
Agreed. Good point, Joe.
True, but I want to make sure that, because if it's not licensed 1 year, and let's say you write them, let's say in June, and they haven't done it by April before, does that mean you check on October to write it again? That's my point. You have to wait till the year if they haven't done it, but I don't know, I have to check it.
I would
The
think-
ordinance doesn't say anything about that.
I would think it would be reasonable to expect or ask the town clerk to administrate that part of it.
Okay, anything else on the dogs? Yes, sir.
Tom Kearns, what is the rationale for singling out dog owners for taxation?
I believe it's a state law.
State,
It's a state law?
It is.
What's the rationale behind
The rationale has to do with rabies as well.
it? And cats and other things don't have rabies?
Pardon?
Cats and other animals don't shed rabies?
Well,
Mr.,
cats and other animals are not
can I
registered.
make a point of order?
Sure.
I think we've stopped asking citizens to
Yeah,
come to the
true.
podium. I think we should get back to that.
Yep. Anything else, Tom?
No, that's it.
Okay. Mike?
if
We still on dogs?
we are.
Okay.
And just, I want to, people get notices, but I think if this is gonna be a full court press on this, I think I need to work with the chief and the ACO to make sure that we get some kind of information campaign out there, so all of a sudden someone's not getting stuff in the mail and saying,
Sure.
I don't have a dog anymore, or,
Right.
we gotta clean our list up as well.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on. Chief, your update? You're a busy gentleman tonight.
Busy this weekend. Crazy weekend. You got the report, look at the calls in June. I think we did 6 less for total calls for the month at 494. We're seeing, obviously, as you saw in the notes, what we found out is that we're getting a lot of non-Castleton resident phone calls because our phone is public. And for whatever reason, they can't get a hold of whether it's a state, whether it's Fairhaven, whether it's, we get them probably 5 or 6 a week. They'll start giving an incident, and it's if nothing, we kind of direct them the way they need to go. Criminal arrests, we had 6 in June. Any questions on the calls? About the arrests? Okay, traffic violations. We did get 2 speed cards out. We got them both on Creek Road. We got one up on West Castleton. And then we got one right in the Point of Ponds dip right there, which we had last year. And I know the officer's been hitting Main Street, so we've been trying to be real visible down there. And I know that Justin has been hitting North Road on Saturdays, and it's getting quite a few from there. Calls of service.
I have a question.
Yes, Bob.
I have a question for Pete on the speed cards. Do the speed cards register or record anything?
Not those 2, no.
Okay, so it's just for the driver of the vehicle's awareness of how fast he's going.
Correct. I think ultimately, we looked in this before about having some permanent markers put up. We didn't get that grant through ARP. We did try to do that. Those are what we really need. We need to get some permanent ones where they can have that more ability to do something like that. So, but they're costing a lot of
Okay.
money.
I understand.
Okay. We did start our TSA fingerprinting service. We've gone on our 4th week. It's on Wednesdays. We're getting 20 to 40 today on that Wednesday. We did our sex offender registry checks. And also, Justin put together the passive grant with the assistance of make sure everybody had all their quotes. And that's what was put out for the 80% instead of 100% originally. Today my new hire started, Josh Piatek. he'll meet with Mike tomorrow. He's supposed to meet with him today, but Mike couldn't make it back to South Carolina in time. We're excited. He'll be good. He's already level 3 certified, qualified, so he worked for Rutland County, and I think he'll do all right. And at some point, I'll bring him in here, introduce him to you guys, make sure everybody's here for that. But he's been, I did brought him over to the town hall, introduced who was there. You weren't there, Jim, so we could have. I do want to make a comment from last week's funeral. I want to thank the residents for allowing that many people for the loss for the Rutland City officer that came at the funeral service. There were still a lot of people. I think our media campaign has to get better on this transfer station because nobody's reading or looking at anything. So I want to think one of the suggestions is that we make these little signs. I've seen it in other towns. A week to 4 days prior to the fact, we put them on all the major throughways coming in saying next week there's going to be some traffic delays because of parade or whatever special event. People aren't looking at social media. I sat up there on South Street and Jeffords, that's where I was directing people, and I had 30 cars. Had no idea that was shut down for that period of time. Some of them were fine, other ones were kind of ugly, but I said, hey, we put it out for a while, let people know. It's been publicized, so just a suggestion. I think we can do better with that. That's it. Questions?
Questions?
Just one, Pete. Can you elaborate a little on your notes here, point 1, where you're saying that our phones ring off the hook with many calls not even being police-related, but citizens are looking for us to solve their daily problems. I'm just curious if you could provide me with 1 or 2 examples so that I can understand.
We get, well, I want to say about 50% of these calls are coming from people that are not residents from Castleton, number 1. I mentioned that, where
Right.
they may, like a question they may ask, well, I'm trying to get some information from the courts about a case, and it's really not crime related or anything. They're just looking for assistance. They're just looking for answers that they think we know all the answers to. So they're not what I would say police related per se. It's basically educating them within reason what we can.
Okay.
Joe?
Chief, where are we on staffing? Pleased to hear about your new hires.
Oh, yeah, so he's starting this week. He's on, obviously, this week he's spending 2 days with me, 2 nights with Justin. We've got him already sworn and stuff like that. So Ed won't be back until September. He did have a surgery. Recovery's going well. It's a minimum of 6 weeks. I've got to develop at some point to test him physically, make sure he's able to do the job. And then by September, really is when we'll be full staff, when I call full-time employees wise.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Just one last quick question.
Sure.
On Level
Yes, sir.
3 certified, what does that mean?
That level 3 means you're a full-time certified that can investigate all crimes.
Okay, so a fully trained cop.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
super.
Okay, thank you, Chief, we appreciate it. Moving on. Appointment of Assistant Zoning Administrator Karen Oakman. This, I believe, is a recommendation from where?
Mr. Chairman, the Planning Commission interviewed several people. They recommended Ms. Oakman. I subsequently interviewed Karen as well. She accepted the position and would train alongside our current zoning administrator, Jim Thomas, until he leaves for Florida. So there'd be a good overlap there before Ms. Oakman would be asked to then become the full-time zoning administrator like Jim is now.
And at that
Jim's
point,
interim.
will the position of assistant disappear?
Correct, yeah, once Jim is his appointment as interim, Mrs. Oakman would then become the full-time zoning administrator.
So at this point, Ms. Oakman will be right seat riding, so to speak?
Correct.
Motion, yes, Dick, or Joe, I'm sorry.
Did I hear you say you offered the position to her and that she accepted it?
That is correct.
In what sense then is this on our agenda as an appointment?
Well, technically, the board appoints the zoning administrator, like they did with, so this is an interim, or I mean, assistant, so, we decided to put it before you for your approval. I talked to her about what is the wage, hours and duties and responsibilities, but I can't appoint anybody, so.
That's state law? That's state law?
It's just.
I think it is.
So I'm just concerned about your language when you said you offered her the position and she accepted. I think to a lot of people, that would mean she got the job.
Yes.
She accepted the terms and conditions. It was subject to being appointed under those terms and conditions.
Those were the missing words, subject to being approved.
So I would make a motion that we appoint Karen Oakman, Assistant Zoning Administrator.
I will second that.
And a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Bid award for parking lot crack seal, and line striping. Mike?
The bid before you, so this bid was sent out to several companies that we've dealt with, plus put it, out there for others that have never applied. And we got one back, and that, the one person that, Advanced Pavement, came and saw me, talked for quite a while, went out and looked at some of the work that they've done in this area around our neighborhoods. Looks like they're quality work. And one of the things that was a little different on this quote is when they take the job, it's all inclusive. It's the crack sealing, then the seal coating, and then the line striping to put back the lines that were currently there. So it's all kind of inclusive. We had put it out trying to break it down. So the three places are the town office parking lot, the park and ride, and the public safety building parking lot. For $12,747.
And the company is Advanced Pavement Maintenance Services,
That's correct.
correct?
Yep.
Someone care to make a motion?
Go ahead.
I would move that we approve the bid from Advanced Pavement Maintenance Services for crack sealing, seal coating, and restriping of parking lots at the town office, the park and ride parking lot, and the public safety building parking lot, for a total not to exceed $12,747.
Second?
And a second. Any discussion? If not, all those,
Can you just repeat the amount again, 12,000 what?
747.
Yep.
okay? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Aye.
Well, I'm sorry, Bob. Didn't mean to leave you out. Fire Department, self-contained breathing apparatus proposal. I believe we have one in front of us from Reynolds. Is there a motion? Isn't this something we discussed prior?
Yeah, there wasn't a total.
Oh, okay.
The other one.
And this would come from where? Where would it come from?
Our recommendation was for the select board to consider ARPA funds for this, seeing that we didn't get the grant and we're not really sure if they're gonna, it would be, well, we can apply again, but we're really not sure. And I think Chief spoke to the select board last meeting and explained kind of the situation.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we approve this proposal for, I think it's 15. I'm sorry, Heath, what is the total number?
15 air packs.
15
There's different numbers for each line item.
with a variety of accessories for a total purchase of $135,723.98.
Would you like to include in your motion where the funding would come from?
Yes, to be paid for using ARPA funds.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Any discussion? Joe?
My concern is that we got us into this hole because we weren't budgeting for these replacements.
You guys helped me fix that last year. That secondary reserve fund, and that's one of the big line items that we want to take care of on that reserve fund we started. So in 15 years, when things are due again, that money will be sitting there. So we'll put a little bit of each year away to buy these.
And the reserve fund will accumulate
Over time,
to total an amount which we think is the, considering inflation.
it'll be a moving
New number.
target. Whoever's the chief, I don't know if I'll be here in 15 years still as your chief, but the chief is gonna have to watch the budget. And like I said, you see the price of these things, they're pretty
Right.
sticky. The bottles are $1,500 a piece. The chief is gonna have to keep an eye on that and keep the budget and, keep the budget in check to replace them.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, this is probably a question for the fire chief, and that's, item one is the SCBA itself.
Yep.
Does that include a bottle?
I don't know how he broke it out. I didn't.
Well,
print-
are we gonna be getting a total of 30
Yeah.
bottles or a total of 15?
Total of 50.
Total of 15 bottles.
Because in the last few years, I've been replacing bottles, 6, 8 at a time. So
Okay.
we have spares, but we get the 15, we'll get 15 with the ones that are on there. So we get just 15 bottles.
So these have actually increased in price significantly in the last 5 years.
Crazy.
Yeah, okay, thank you, chief.
Thank you. Mike?
There's a point on this, Mr. Chairman, too. What they quoted for these through the grant, because of the way it's configured, this 135, I think on the grant was over 200. So by not having to buy the extra stuff the grant requires, and they only get what they need, it's a lesser amount, for one. And the other thing, Mr. Chairman, I direct this through you to the chief, is when you get these stuff, the old stuff, that we don't hold on to it and accumulate stuff. I mean, the stuff is no longer any good, that we can get rid of it, so we don't have it stacked up
We're
somewhere.
already looking at, once we sold some stuff, Dalmatian is the name of a company that buys cold air packs, and we've already explored that avenue if this comes to pass.
So sounds like, you haven't voted yet, so I'll just wait till.
One more question for either the chief or the town manager, and that's lead time? If we have placed this order, what's the lead time?
About 90 days is what he said a lot when he was here. When was he here? May, right? He was here in May, and he said about 90 days in May.
That'll be adequate?
Yes.
Okay.
Our packs are in service right now. They're out of date, but they're in service. So, yes, that would be adequate.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on. Paul's Pizza, first-class license, liquor license for approval.
Make a motion, we approve a first-class liquor license for Paul's Pizza as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Is there anybody here from Paul's?
That's Paul.
No, actually Chris.
Okay,
Paul Wiskowski used to own it. My wife Cindy and I took over in October, some of you probably know that. But yes, we're the ones looking to offer beer and wine. Probably not liquor yet, beer and wine.
okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Just one request, can you sign the guest book on your way out, please?
I sure can.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye,
Motion passes.
I'm ready when you are,
Purchase
boss.
orders for approval.
Make a motion, we approve purchase order number 050679 to WorkSafe for street signs for a sum total of $2,597.54.
Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Discussion. Where will this come from, Mike?
On the highway budget.
Oh, the highway budget, okay. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Sorry, Chris Paulson. The street signs, are those ones that show, this is something I've not been able to call anybody about yet, the little black ones that show where the different restaurants are in town, is that one or is it something different?
Different.
Different?
This-
Those are state things?
Those black signs, you have to talk to V-Trans and have fun with that. These are all the street signs in town, for example, Packing House Road and West Castleton Road, et cetera.
Thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor of approving the purchase order indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Bob? No, Bob.
You still there?
You still there? Bob?
I said aye.
We didn't hear you, Bob. It's okay. All right, I'm gonna move on to warrants if you're okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I'm gonna make a motion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion, we approve warrant number 0724R for $650. Warrant number 0724 for $73,225.89. Warrant 0720 for $31,553.80. Warrant 0713 for $9,004.07. Warrant 0720P for $23,249.96. And warrant 0713P for $27,337.17.
Is there a second? And a second. Any discussion on the warrants? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 I would make a motion that we approve warrant number 0721P for $641.32, and warrant number 0714P for $641.32.
Is there a second, Bob?
I'll second it.
A second. All those in favor indicate by saying
I
aye.
didn't ask for discussion.
Any discussion? Go ahead, do
I
your
gotta
thing.
recuse myself.
Okay. Okey-doke. Dick recuses himself. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Bob?
Man, the file.
Bob, did you say aye, Bob?
I did.
Okay.
Just as a reminder, everyone, we won't be needing to do this after January of next year.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mike?
While they're signing, there's something that's not on the agenda. Maybe we could discuss it during your either recap or follow-up, but the new highway foreman, Jeff Davidson's here, and I want to introduce him to the select board.
Okay. How about during recap? Is that okay?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Where are the two that I didn't?
Oh, I probably signed two I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Just cross it out.
Just cross it out.
Sure.
Because usually they have the red X's through them.
Yeah, so. I'll let you do your crossing out and counting.
I'll find it. How many we need? We need, 8.
You have 8, Jim. You have 8.
Mike, do we know if Mary Lee or Bob will be in town to sign these two warrants?
Well, Mary Lee can't do it. She
I can do it.
That's right.
I'm not sure when Bob gets back. Bob, are you gonna be back in town this week, Bob?
Back Thursday night, and then I'm down again on Friday, but I can, is that too late to sign those?
I don't think so. Is it?
Okay, just leave them in my box and I'll swing in and sign them before I take off on Friday morning.
Well, the two that Dick recused himself on are the
Yeah,
ones that are
I thought we only
essential.
had two.
Yes. They need to have 3 signatures on it.
Oh, okay, yep, I can, well, it won't be till Thursday night, I can get in there and sign them.
Can you make sure they're in his mailbox, Mike?
Making that note, I can do
We'll
that.
get it done, Bob.
Thank you, Dick. Maybe put one of those little arrows with a, just so I pretty much know where it's gonna be signed. Never mind that comment.
Okay. Mike, when you get finished reading, you want to introduce the gentleman?
Wanna do it right now? Okay,
Under
sure.
select board comments
Come on
and/or
up to the
concerns?
podium. I'll introduce you to Jeff Davison, our newest highway foreman. Jeff lives over in the Greenville, Salem, New York area.
Yes.
He's been on the job. This is his second day, and he hasn't quit yet, so that's a good thing. But I'll let you kind of explain to the board, Jeff, your background of like what you come to us with.
I've been a stonemason contractor for a little over 20 years. I have my own business, multiple different areas. Started in Montana. I've also worked at Champlain Stone in Fort Anne, where I was a supervisor managing different parts of the quarry, different operations, sawing facilities, everything from blasting, working with MSHA, safety, just to kind of make sure everything's running right, keeping the fines, everything good.
Equipment operation?
Yeah, equipment operation, skid steers, excavators, backhoes, loaders, haul trucks, so, telehandlers. Yeah, so it's.
One of the things, just to be upfront and transparent, is Jeff is going to work on getting his CDL in the first 6 months here. So he currently doesn't have that. So we're working on that because winter's coming, and we want him to have him on board with getting his CDL so he can get some stick time before. We're not going to throw him in a plow truck without training. So, but he's also a coach of girls varsity soccer, and a comment was made on the hiring committees. They said, if you can take on tackling a group of women's soccer team, you probably can endure a lot. So, but I welcome you, and please, there's Bob Spalding's on Zoom tonight, one of the select board members, and Mary Lee Harris, who couldn't be here, but to reach out and get to know them and have the more one-on-one conversation.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Questions? Questions? No?
I already asked mine.
You're off the hook. Any other select board concerns? Joe?
Two things. I probably should have said this when Mike Rice was here, but I, as suggested, drove up Eaton Hill West and was very impressed by the work that was done there.
I was up there when he was doing it. It was looking good.
Okay.
I would also ask the board what we want to do in the way of follow-up on the noise ordinance concern that has been raised tonight.
We wish to, certainly we wish to investigate it, but we wait to hear back from the chief as to what the limits are and how other towns are handling it.
Sounds like the chief has a fairly good idea of what's a common threshold. How that relates to local conditions, I think, is the question that still needs to be answered. But it would seem to me that if we want to move in the direction of a noise ordinance with a numerical limit for decibels, we could get started on that even before the chief has done his research. Just plug in the number that we agree on.
I would suggest that we start with the town manager's staff putting a copy of the current ordinance in every one of our mailboxes so we can see what it looks like as it exists now. And then, I think, potentially adding an ordinance or a noise threshold might be appropriate. Sorry to interrupt, Joe, but.
And I'd be interested in looking at one or two options of alternative approaches to noise ordinances. What, can someone remind me of the process for adopting an ordinance? I know it's more complicated than changing a policy.
Yeah, it still has to go back out for public, 30-day or 15-day. I have to, don't quote me on that. But it has to go out for public can comment on it before it can be actually go into effect.
Right. Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it for me.
I'm all set.
All set? I'm all set.
Is Bob all set?
Bob, you all set?
Well, no, is Tom Kern still in the audience?
He's not.
He is not, okay. Somewhere along the line, we gotta talk about the Crystal Haven area up in the north end where our road that we put in connects the two spurs. You gentlemen know what I'm talking about.
We do.
We do.
Okay, did that get talked about at the last select board meeting that I was not at?
Yes.
Yes, it did, Bob.
Okay, so I gotta get with Mike and have him fill me in on what we're doing, what we're not doing, or whatever there, so.
Okay,
That's all I had on the thing.
all right. Anything else from the board?
I'm good.
If not, recap items for follow-up? Seeing none. Move on. You need an executive session, Mike?
Personnel, if you could, please.
Personnel?
Make a motion, we go into executive session with the board and the town manager for personnel at 8:08.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.